Hi, I'm Irving. You have just entered Cartertopia. We begin with a guy pulling up on a motorbike. And a lab coat. Hey, it worked for Peter Parker in the 60s. He heads into the Department of Biological Sciences. Or in other words,
germ warfare.
Except if we don't call it that and call it something innocuous like biological sciences, then it isn't the horrible evil that it is. How do these people sleep?
Actually, Miss Prince, it began as part of our anti-germ warfare efforts, but something went wrong, and now, well, we've got
Potentially catastrophic consequences.
And what does anti-germ warfare involve? Manipulating germs and viruses just like you tell us the bad guys are doing.
It's a totally new virus. Slimy green byproduct of our artificial microbe program. Harmless in a vacuum. But when airborne, it attacks host tissue and destroys red cells.
This is their anti-germ warfare, remember. He says death is virtually instantaneous. I sure feel safer knowing that stuff is protecting me from germ warfare. He says they basically created it by accident. Later, we'll learn that 5 scientists were the unwilling guinea pigs when it got loose. Needless to say, it wasn't pretty. He's taking Diana to see this stuff, but George, our motorbike riding scientist, just stole it. He's hiding in the room.
As you can see, few people have access to... Good Lord. It's gone.
No, it isn't. It's right behind you with that guy crouched on the floor. It'll take them a couple of minutes to discover that because they have to stand there and wait for the opening theme and a couple of commercials.
George! What are you doing with the virus? Wait! George!
George finds himself in a standoff in the hallway. If the guard shoots him, he drops the vial and everybody is dead. But if we don't stop him, we have no idea what kind of plans he has for the virus.
We've worked together, assisting Dr. Roberts for over 2 years now. You're jeopardizing hundreds of thousands of lives. Innocent people. Think of them.
He hops on his motorbike and takes off. Diana finds a secluded spot. The last several weeks, she's been able to run faster than a car. She can't outrun his little dirt bike. Nice of that bike's owner to leave the key not just in the ignition, but turned on. Must have known Wonder Woman was going to need it. They race through various parts of town until he manages to get a nice lead on her and duck around a corner. She has her suspicions, but she won't find his disguise and confirm it until he's long gone with the virus.
I'd be curious to know its composition. Could be your best lead.
Doctor, it's our only lead. Poor George. What do you think's happened to him?
Who knows what horrors he's enduring?
Here is a Royal Beach Hotel, George. This is where you spend 2 wonderful, fun-filled days and nights, George. It's where you met Claudine, George. This is Claudine. You'll do anything for Claudine. Anything, George. Claudine wants you to escape. And if necessary, die if anyone tries to give you truth serum.
George is enjoying the greatest vacation he never had.
Live it up, George, while you can.
Well, where's the old lady, Mrs. Thrift?
Well, she's been sent her free offer.
We'll follow that up with a phone call. I want her simulated this afternoon.
Simulated. That was an android? And who is Mrs. Thrip?
No, there's no way an imposter could have gotten through the routine security check. Unless, of course, he duplicated George's fingerprints as well as his face.
Not improbable, Colonel, considering the advanced technology that created the mask.
Oh, simulated as in make a mask of their face and overlays of their fingerprints.
Let's rule out money as a motive for the time being.
All right, but why?
Well, if they have the ability to duplicate other people, and they were really after some big bucks, they could find a lot less risky ways of doing it.
True enough. And as long as they have no antidote, their lives are in jeopardy, same as everyone else.
As if on cue.
Excuse me, Dr. Roberts? Professor Xander is returning your calls.
Speaking of antidotes, thank you, Dee Dee.
Hey, she has a name. And guess what Professor Xander is doing?
Professor, have you found an antidote?
Of course not. How can I possibly when you keep interrupting me with these incessant phone calls?
Griping. He's griping about anything and everything. It's what he does best.
And Roberts, these IADC agents have kept me virtually a prisoner.
He's griping about the protection.
They're safeguarding you in your work, not holding you prisoner.
But can't you get rid of them?
Afraid not, Xander. You're our best hope of finding an antidote. We don't want anything to happen to you.
I'm leaving now, Professor.
But shouldn't you consider my morale?
Where does he want to go? The agents can probably arrange it. But if they do that, he can't gripe.
It's my afternoon off.
Your morale?
Yes. How would you like it if the only person you were permitted to see was Mary Jane Thrip?
That's Mrs. Thrip, the person who's supposed to be simulated today. The person who just got kicked in the face by the person she cares about most in the whole world. Kicked in the face by a brilliant idiot who had no idea she was there. That free offer Val said they sent her, it's for a computer dating service. These were a big thing and all the rage for about 3 days and 12 minutes in the 70s. You filled out a profile and made a videotape, the computer matched you to someone with similar interests, etc., and hopefully you meet and sparks fly. After that little bit of stupid by the professor, she's ready to give it a try.
Welcome to Date CompuCupid. If you'll just follow me, please. Yes. You're gonna give a little spiel about yourself. Then we take your tape, feed it to the computer along with your vital statistics. The computer matches you up to someone. He sees your tape, and the rest could be history.
Do you suppose your computer has a line on Burt Reynolds?
Oh, Burt Reynolds could never understand your accent, Mrs. Thrip. Sorry.
Okay, now just relax and keep your hands flat on the green markings, please.
Over the next minute or two, while she gives her spiel, we watch a machine make a perfect latex mask of her face and latex replicas of her hands with fingerprints.
Well, of course, being a widow, one is lonely sometimes, especially after I give Professor Santa his rum peanut butter and sausage souffle in his study. He will not do without his souffle.
Who was that just came into the control room?
But I want to be perfectly candid on one point. My gait may be a little rusty, but it can still swing, if you get my drift.
No, I don't. Please explain.
Another swinger.
How's it going?
It had to be an inside job. The only question was who, and now why. We've already ruled out money.
George, we checked into the Royal Beach Hotel where you claim to have stayed. Negative.
Ask Claudine. She'll tell you.
Where is Claudine, George?
Oh, I left...
There's no Flight 27, no hotel.
And no Claudine.
He can't believe it. He's sure he was in Florida with Claudine, no matter what the evidence says.
Do you have any objection to taking your truth serum?
Truth serum.
Yeah, sodium pentothal.
It's a simple injection.
Truth serum? No.
Well, good then. Maybe we can clear this whole thing up.
It'll take just a minute. Hey, wait a minute!
He's headed to the roof to jump off. Diana goes after him. Correction, Wonder Woman goes after him. thanks to the lasso's influence plus the brainwashing, for the rest of his life, everything George tried to say came out upside down and backwards.
Mrs. Threep! Mrs. Threep! Mrs. Threep! Oh, she couldn't appreciate it anyway.
Maybe that's because in that weird accent of yours, she's not sure what you're saying. He calls Dr. Roberts to report that he's found the antidote. Dee Dee is listening in.
I'll inform the IADC.
They'll dispatch an agent to pick up the antidote right away.
She calls data date just as Mrs. Thripp arrives to see her hot prospect.
Yeah?
Call for you.
Oh. Hello?
Are you ready?
Almost.
Well, almost isn't good enough. You've got to move now. Sanders found the antidote.
Mrs. Thripp is still hoping for Burt Reynolds.
I ride a 900cc motorcycle, and I'm looking for a little buckaroo to share my saddle.
Ask for Burt Reynolds and you get Gabby Hayes.
She gives up and leaves before the tape is half done.
Xander did it. But I don't want to take any chances. Not now. So,
So, you want little old me to get over there and deliver to the testing lab?
hey, you're my best man.
Hey, thanks for the compliment.
Warren is all set to pose as Mrs. Thripp and heads out the door.
And now, Mrs. Thripp, we have a surprise for you. The old bag's gone.
Warren doesn't know that. He'd better hope he reaches the professor's house before she does. He will.
Mrs. Threep, you are beautiful. Thanks to you, I have found the antidote.
I guess that means he'll be sharing the Nobel Prize money with her, right?
Those souffles you always made me, which I profess to love. Sausage, peanut butter. I can't stand them. Never could. In fact, I hid them.
Why didn't you just throw them out when she wasn't looking? Were you saving them for later?
Until they were covered with mold. And it was that mold, Mrs. Thripp, which led me to this.
I think he's already accepting that Nobel Prize.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, Professor.
The committee's rules have changed a lot. Diana arrives at the house just as the fake Mrs. Thripp is leaving with her basket and finds the professor rather dazed with a lump on his head.
Mrs. Thripp. She's a he. And he's got the antidote.
Diana springs into action.
Kurt, Baker, stop that man! Woman!
Suddenly, Mrs. Thripp can run like an Olympic sprinter. She can also beat the stuffing out of a couple of IADC agents. Diana joins the chase, but he's already vanished. As Wonder Woman, she can enlist a little unexpected help.
Doubling back. Thank you for the tip.
She hasn't talked to a critter all season. It's about time. While that's happening, the real Mrs. Thripp is almost home.
Hey! Stars! Wait! Wait! Oh!
Wait! We need to talk about your awful fashion choices! Oh dear. Wonder Woman hops up to the top of a high building to get a better view.
Okay, mister. Just hand over the antidote.
Don't you mister me.
Wonder Woman may have super strength, but if I was her, I'd think twice about tangling with this lady. At an appropriate time, Diana Prince gently brings her to IADC headquarters. Steve explains that her double stole something very important.
The professor's antidote.
You know about that?
Oh, yes. He tells me everything.
She's sworn to secrecy, of course, but she says, as I explained to the dating agency, my life is a bit lonely except for him. But Diana and Steve aren't listening anymore.
Did you say dating agency?
Yes, I got a free offer from the date-to-date CompuCupid.
Diana, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yes. George also had a free offer from CompuCupid.
right, that's the last thing he remembered.
Mrs. Thripp was supposed to be on an extended South American vacation with Gabby Hayes, but she blew the whole thing when she walked out. And now Diana feels a need to spice up her social life.
Go ahead and add the virus.
Death should be instantaneous.
The antidote worked. He's safe.
What do they intend to do with it now that they know they can protect themselves against it?
It's too bad we can't say the same for the rest of the world. When will our delivery boy be delivered?
This afternoon.
Whatever it is, they plan to do it quick.
The CompuCupid computer is not part of any known data network.
Can you patch into it anyway?
Steve, Trevor, that is a complex, time-consuming function with no certain outcome.
What you're saying is you're not sure, but you'll try, right?
Affirmative.
Ira speaks fluent bureaucrat. Diana is at Date CompuCupid, where Val can't believe she needs help getting dates. Diana says, I seem to end up with the wrong kind of guy, so maybe a computer can help me weed through those and come up with the right kind of guy.
Don't tell me. Are you my freebie? All right. They call me John Blake, the snake on the make.
A freebie? Well, what's a freebie?
Oh, you're Mr. Blake. Oh, Mr. Blake, our lucky sweepstakes winner. Are we going to find a mate for you, sir? Oh, right this way, sir. We're ready for you in Studio 1.
Diana would like to know why Val is so eager to get him away from her.
This way.
Miss, you know, I've got the feeling that the snake on the make could be Mr. Right.
What it is, it is. Whoa, I'm him, really.
Oh, you sure are, but is she her?
Yeah.
No, I'm not your type.
All right.
She ushers Diana into another room. She seems a little frazzled.
Is Ward in the control room?
Maybe.
Maybe. What's the matter? Don't tell me you stopped keeping track of his every move.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Oh, you're real cute. Must be the reason why Ward dropped me like a lit firecracker when you came through the door.
I guess he was doing Val. Dee Dee came along and he traded Val in for the new version. They should both be grateful he's so generous with his manliness.
No. I think it was because he was bored.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You, stimulate his intellect, don't you?
Everybody's got a name for it.
Don't knock it till you've tried it.
Oh, well, here's something to stimulate your intellect. I'm sticking around here, sister. You know why? 'Cause one day, you're gonna be that lit firecracker. And I intend to be here to enjoy the Big Bang.
From what you say, you've already enjoyed the Big Bang and you want it back.
You know, my advice to you is to get yourself in there, in front of those cameras, and cross your fingers. Because it sounds to me like you're going to be here for quite a while.
Warren is indeed in the control room.
I don't know how long the antidote will last, so I suggest we make our move this afternoon.
No problem.
Is that our delivery boy?
He doesn't look like much. But by the end of the day, he will have become famous.
What's so special about Mr. Blake, the snake on the make?
As a matter of fact, I'm one of the very few pilots licensed to fly a chopper over our nation's most sacred monuments and buildings. I take tourists on aerial tours of this great big capital city of ours.
He takes tourists around the city and shows them the most important places. The trip culminates with a run up Pennsylvania Avenue to the White House.
You haven't lived until you've looked into the White House windows at 300 feet.
And now we know what her target is. What did President Carter ever do to her?
Meep, meep. Hey, you looking for me, Rover? What you got there? Your boss just made contact with CompuCupid, huh? Okay, lead the way.
I'm gonna miss Rover when the series is done. Ira has discovered some very interesting things about the CompuCupid computer.
You, my dear, are a genius.
My genius would be a total waste were it not for your genius in putting it to use.
Shall we get the snake on the make started on his vacation?
Right.
Pretending to be a helicopter pilot and dropping a virus on the White House is genius. What's in this for him, besides the obvious?
Diana Prince. She's an IADC agent. She was in the lab with Roberts the day you stole the virus, remember?
She must be on to us.
Get rid of her.
Wait a minute. Are you sure the simulation of an IADC agent wouldn't come in handy?
Perhaps. Especially a dead IADC agent.
Smoke starts coming from Diana's chair, and soon the camera shows her collapsing out of frame.
The CompuCupid computer is programmed for two basic functions. As a database for dissemination of information regarding persons seeking companionship with members of the opposite sex.
A dating service?
Affirmative.
Well, why didn't you say so?
I told you, he speaks fluent bureaucrat, don't you?
Also as a patented data simulator specializing in the three-dimensional duplication of specific human characteristics.
That's where they've been making the masks and the gloves.
Steve asks for a list of the most recent people they've duplicated.
Mrs. Mary Jane Thrift.
All right, after her.
1 John Blake.
Okay, who else?
1 Diana Prince.
Diana. This is Colonel Trevor. I need a car out front immediately.
Dee Dee is dressed like John Blake and has put the mask on. It's time to do this. It's also time for Val to take care of Diana Prince.
Hi.
There's something wrong with your outfit. I think it needs a thin golden sash. While she and Steve see to John Blake and interrogate Val, Dee Dee and Warren are in the air. She takes the mask off now that it's not needed.
Thanks for letting me do the honors.
Well, you're the one that's hell-bent on teaching the government a lesson. It's only fair.
You know, when my brother died during one of their Doomsday experiments.
Bingo. We have our motive. She's convinced herself that it's for a greater good, but at its heart, it's plain old revenge.
No one listened. And recently, 5 more men died. And still no one listened. And now, within the hour, tens of thousands will have perished.
And you think they'll listen then? They'll double their research to come up with something even worse to defend against you.
It'll start at the White House. Descend Capitol Hill. Wipe out all the federal agencies. Obliterate the Pentagon.
And assure that research into such doomsday experiments is abandoned forever.
At least by the United States. The Soviet Union couldn't care less how many high-ranking Americans you kill. They'll do what they do. And you're giving them a huge advantage. Once your virus dissipates, they could take over the country and there'd be nobody to stop them. You'll get your revenge, but I hope you like borscht. Val doesn't know why they simulated Blake, but Steve finds his videotape and everything falls into place. Wonder Woman is off to the White House. We all know what's going to happen, but we're glued to our seats anyway.
Okay, toss it out.
Oh, no!
Throw it, War. Throw it! Make them learn! Throw it!
He also knows what's going to happen. She can't see Wonder Woman from her side of the helicopter, and for some reason he's not telling her. He decides, what the hey, it's better than sitting here holding it. Unfortunately, Wonder Woman landed on a big rock, twisted her ankle, fell, and dropped the vial. Fortunately, about that time Warren was fumbling around in the helicopter and dropped the antidote out the window. The whole thing was about as anticlimactic as it gets.
With Ward, Dee Dee, and Val in custody, the best place for that virus is in a furnace.
With the addition of the antidote, the virus is harmless.
Yes, but what about next time?
The professor says, I plan to make sure there isn't a next time. He doesn't say how.
I wish those two young people had thought of another way of making their feelings known.
Which reminds me, there is still one thing that bothers me about all this.
What's that?
Mrs. Thripp, why did you go to that dating service?
Well, I wanted to have a bit of fun. And I got tired of waiting for you.
Not to mention that rather rude remark you made when I was standing right there.
Oh, dear girl. Have I been so wrapped up in my work that I overlooked a gem like you?
Yes.
It's a good thing they don't want children. Those kids would have the most unintelligible accent ever. The episode hits on a lot of topics, but I think the primary one is loneliness. Ever gone on Tinder? When I was divorced, I went on Zoosk for a while. We're designed to be with somebody. If you choose not to, more power to you. But most of us don't want to be alone. And as this episode shows, there are lots of predators out there who want to take advantage of that. So be careful and don't be in a hurry. Just be who you are and keep improving who you are. Be a little better you today than you were yesterday. Be a little better tomorrow than you are today. But keep being you, because every person is unique and has a purpose in this world. That means you matter more than you know. So don't try to be something you're not, because the world needs the real you. And don't call yourself the snake on the make, for heaven's sake. Everyone's take will be, he's a fake. I'm Irving Seuss, and you are now exiting Cartertopia.